Welcome back to the Explainer, focused learners. Today, we're unpacking a concept that literally has the power to completely change how you approach your daily goals. We're looking at the research behind architecting success through environmental design. If you've ever felt like you just can't stick to a routine, man, this information is going to be incredibly liberating for you. Okay, let's dive into this.
Why do we always seem to fail at our goals? I mean, it's a universally frustrating experience, right? You set a firm goal to stick to a new healthy diet, or maybe you want to build a consistent morning workout routine, or, finally break that bad habit of late-night snacking. You start the week with the absolute best of intentions, but by Thursday evening, you find yourself right back where you started, feeling totally defeated. It's incredibly frustrating, but what if I told you that the reason you're struggling has absolutely nothing to do with your character? Well, here's the truth. It's not just willpower. There's this massive, incredibly common misconception out there that personal discipline is the only true driver of behavior change. Society is constantly teaching us that if we just push harder, if we just exert more mental strength and grit our teeth, we're going to succeed. But the source material we're examining today completely turns that belief on its head. Relying solely on mental strength and raw discipline, that is actually a fundamentally flawed long-term strategy for anyone trying to build lasting habits.
The research puts it perfectly. Many people think they fail because they aren't strong enough. I want to pause here for a quick second and just assure you, speak directly to you, that those evening failures, when you finally give in and eat the junk food or decide to just skip the gym, they are not because you have a weak personality. You aren't lacking some magical inner strength that other supposedly successful people possess. Actually, scratch that. It's more like fighting your own brain with pure effort is just a losing battle for everyone. The research makes that abundantly clear. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is exactly what's happening in our brains. Willpower is not some ever-present muscle that just needs to be flexed on command. Instead, think of it as a limited resource. It acts exactly like a depleting battery on your smartphone. Every single time you make a decision, resist a temptation, or force yourself to focus on a difficult task, you're draining that battery. In fact, research shows the average adult makes about 35,000 remotely conscious decisions each day. I mean, that is a massive load on your brain. And inevitably, no matter who you are, it runs out by the end of the day. Let's trace this out so we can see exactly how this works in practice. Picture this. In the morning, you wake up and your willpower battery is fully charged, 100%. You easily say no to the donuts in the break room at 9 a.m. But then we hit the afternoon. You've been working, making decisions, managing your time, dealing with stress. Your strength is naturally fading. By the time we reach the evening, your battery is completely depleted and tired. You're running on empty. This is exactly why relying on a fluctuating sense of self-control inevitably leads to exhaustion and, you guessed it, bad choices by nightfall. The secret, according to the research, isn't finding more willpower when you're tired. And this brilliantly illustrates a crucial paradigm shift. You essentially have two choices here. You can do it the old way, fighting your brain. This is what happens when you rely on that fluctuating self-control we just mapped out. It's exhausting and, honestly, completely unreliable. Or you can choose the new paradigm, designing your environment through proactive planning. This is the much smarter solution highlighted in the text. Instead of trying to force your drained brain to do the right thing at 8 p.m., you set things up in advance so the right thing just happens naturally.
So let's formally define this winning strategy. Environmental design is strategically arranging your surroundings to facilitate better decision-making without internal effort. I really want to highlight those last three words, without internal effort. That's the game changer. By proactively changing our external world, we can bypass that depleting willpower battery altogether. You basically arrange your surroundings so that the good choice simply becomes the easiest choice, requiring absolutely zero mental gymnastics. To really grasp how powerful this is, let's look at a practical application straight from the source material. We'll call it the cookie jar strategy. It's incredibly simple, but it perfectly shows, rather than just tells, how environmental design works in our everyday lives. Just think about a cookie jar sitting right on your kitchen counter in plain sight. Every single time you walk by, your brain has to exert internal effort to say no. You're actively draining your battery just by looking at it. And that leaves you with less energy for other, way more important decisions later on. Let's move to and see how this builds into a highly effective, step-by-step proactive plan. Step 1. Notice the temptation. You have to acknowledge that the jar on the counter is a constant drain on your willpower battery. Step 2 is where the actual environmental design happens. Move the cookie jar to a high shelf. Or, better yet, just put it in the back of a pantry where you literally can't see it. By doing this one simple thing, you've completely removed the visual trigger. Then, step 3, Make good habits the easiest choice. Maybe you replace that cookie jar on the counter with a bowl of fresh fruit. Boom. You've now made the positive habit the path of least resistance. You see, you don't need willpower to eat an apple if it's the most convenient thing right in front of you.
So let's quickly summarize the core takeaways we've derived from the sources. Remember, willpower is a depleting battery. It is absolutely going to run out. Therefore, you must stop fighting your brain. It's totally an unfair fight. Instead, use proactive planning. Take the time early in the day when your battery is fully charged to strategically arrange your surroundings. If you do this, you're going to successfully create the path of least resistance for your future tired self. Proactive environmental design is just infinitely more reliable than relying on a fluctuating sense of discipline.
Which brings us to our final thought. What is one thing in your surroundings you can rearrange today to protect tomorrow's battery? So the crucial point is that you have the power to engineer your own success, not by being harder on yourself, but by being much smarter about your environment. Don't wait for your willpower to fail you again tonight. Look around your home or your workspace right now. Find one small thing you can move, hide, or change to make your good habits automatic. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Now get out there and start designing your environment.